that Ramana said clearly that there is a path.
Yes.
There is that you have to inquire.
Yes.
That is one. And each one has to do the meditation.
Okay.
There is always grades of the steps to go leading to that. You have to go one after the other.
Yes.
You have need a guru there. All these things. That is all the traditional frame.
Yes.
So traditional frame intact he accepted.
Okay.
He never wanted to change the frame. Except here and there he said that why are you worried about the world? You forget. You find out for yourself whether you exist or not. Like that sometimes he threw some special flashes. That's all. But intact the tradition frame remained with him. You find in the religious
suppose I tell you that the people who came to Ramana were traditional people who pushed the traditional buttons for him.
Do you think that people who came to UG are not traditional minded?
No, they are all Europeans, all Westerns in the beginning.
Where?
Purely Western oriented
Where?
people.
To UG?
Yes, purely Western oriented
Whether
people.
it is Western or Eastern,
and they were pushing those buttons.
they were all tradition bound. Western tradition is not different from Eastern tradition.
Oh, very much different.
Basically, it's not different, sir. Even there,
No,
they
you
want
are
a method.
talking from his level, saying that
Method.
you want continuity.
Method.
I am not talking about that at
I
all.
am talking about the method. They also talked about a method.
They were the people who were around J. Krishnamurti, who showed a path. So this man had to dismantle all their ideas. There is no path at all. So they were pushing the buttons in this man.
See, even for Ramana, the earliest persons who came to him was he talked to them was in a totally most revolutionary way. Ramana talked in the most revolutionary methods. Later on, he became traditional bound. But the earliest utterances were the things which revealed that his revolutionary nature. But in the case of UG, to say that just because it happened in the West, and at the time the people around him, I know them, they were all very much tradition bound. Barry, he was completely well read in the Advaita and Eastern religious books, texts and all that. And this fellow Billy, and of course I do not know whether Swamiji were there or not, but these were different. They were all tradition bound. They were all well read in Indian scriptures and Indian.
Now, I have never heard UG talking about his calamity, what has happened to him. He has never talked about it. Neither did he say, what is your question? You must have your own question. That will lead you up there. And this was the language he was talking 20 years back in Bangalore, UG. Now he doesn't talk of those things at all totally.
Yes.
So your question, your question must have the intensity to lead you there. Is old Upanishadic stuff, definitely. Nobody has ever talked about the things UG is talking nowadays. That was quite traditional. One Sanskrit point came to me and he said, he was talking about these very traditional matters those days.
He was mentioning these traditional matters. I was there, but he was not supporting the traditional structure. Talking about the traditional matter is different, and supporting them is different. He never supported any of those statements. He always showed the flaws in those statements, which they were not able to take. And there was a big argument around these statements. And finally, it comes, it is so. There is stop. So he pointed out, if you say that the Kaschid Dhiraha, the Kaschid Dhira of your this one is not the one who is who want to do go onto the Mount of Everest and then or do something very great, valorous things. It is the one who want to be for himself, not without the support of anything. All by himself, without comparing himself, without becoming something else. So where the process of becoming has stopped, he is the Kaschid Dhira. He doesn't want to become something. So he was showing that the Pharisees and the misleading the interpretations of those statements, all the Upanishadic statements he was telling. Upasantoyam Atma, our Ramakrishna used to quote that one. There is a Upasantoyam Atma, that is the greatest line in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So it is Shanti. So Shanti is not the Shanti what you think. Upashanti, Shanti means it is like a volcano boiling inside. It is not the peace that you are thinking of and you imagine it to be. So you have an image around that word Upashanti. So he was trying to break the images and the frames we constructed around those terms and passed on from generation to generation.
That's all. That's all is his task.
And he was against the frame. What I am telling is, he was, he was not accepting that the frames of these traditions.
So you mean to say his teaching is just like Zen master who wants to demolish your conceptual structure itself, the structure of your concepts
Something like
of
that,
which
yes,
you are made.
yes, very
Huh?
close to that, yes.
Then he is not at all unique, sir. Because
No.
there are so many Zen masters
No, I'm saying,
who are bent upon demolishing our conceptual
in
structure.
comparison, if you want to compare, that is the only thing we can say. It comes very close to that, where that these ones are totally demolished.
Then this is nothing unique. Because it's a very old concept in Zen.
No, maybe the concept may be there. What happens is that
What is happening?
Then I'll go and have my portion, sir.
Disgusting.
పెద్ద డిస్కషన్
Interesting things are happening.
ఇద్దరికి వీడియో తీస్తున్నారు
There is something
Miss
close to the
Tudale.
Zen masters. Disgusting bastards, the Zen masters. Institutionalized meditation, jokers. I was never attracted to Zen masters, Bob. Huh? Never. Because they were all the products of Buddha. And what Buddhism tried to preach to the world. So rejected. Since I rejected Buddha, a whole lot of them. See, they institutionalized the whole thing. Techniques of meditation they invented.
But they were just saying that Upanishads are much more superior.
Oh,
Upanishadasika and
they have to because they are Indians.
at least Upanishadic seers never institutionalized those things.
Buddha started it. When the Vedic culture reached the bottom, you see, then they wanted to save it, you see. And they created this metaphysics, useless fellows, intellectuals, nothing. And what you find in the Upanishads is not the people who are there that are talking about. They are the aspirations of those people who want to be in that state. So all the Upanishads can be thrown out. Right? Nothing. That's why Buddha had to come. Too much intellectual nonsense. What, Bob, don't record this. But that fellow didn't have the guts, see, to go to the end. And when he had this experience, he said, as long as there is a single soul imprisoned in the veil of illusion, I refuse to enter the gates of Nirvana. He never entered the gates of Nirvana. He refused. For the sake of mankind. You know, like the politicians talking of mankind, humanity, you know. And then, for the first time in the history of mankind, he introduced the element of conversion, proselytization. He created a sangha. You know, he moved from place to place, followed by all these people. And he didn't allow women to join his order for a long time. A lot of protestations. And finally, he relented and admitted them also. Then there came along, this is my reading of the history, I take it or leave it. And Ashoka, the king, used that as a power, instrument of power. He spread it forcibly in this country. Then Harshavartha, another fellow. But when they came south, they stopped it, you see. They couldn't come further, down. But Jainism spread in the south, not Buddhism. That's why you have so many Jain temples. The place where I grew up in Andhra is called Gudivada. That means the place of temples, not Hindu temples, but Jain monasteries, you know. A lot of prostitutes lived there, and along with, of course, you know, they go together, prostitution and spiritual preachers. Lanjadevula Animunai Guduvada Boldu. We used to go and pick up coins in those days, very rare coins as little boys. We played there. That in essence is Hinduism. It is not a religion.
But what is the story that he refused to enter paradise?
Who?
Buddha.
He didn't have the guts. He stopped with some petty little mystical experience like anybody else, like all these gurus you have in the marketplace. Even Ramana Maharshi stopped there. You know, all of them. You see, that prevents the possibility of those people coming out with something original. So they have to rely upon the authority of the scriptures and then they interpret. How can a fellow who has written 4 volumes on Astavakra talk of enlightenment? Tell me. And claim that he's an enlightened man, sets himself up in the business of enlightening others. He blasted everything Astavakra. You know? So he cannot do that. It's a sales pitch. They sell that stuff and poor people. There is no authority for them. The filthy word you are using, enlightened man. Sorry, sir.
But Buddha had authority or no?
No, no, not at all. It was the political, the man, like the King Ashoka. Otherwise, Buddhism and Christianity and Islam would have remained small cults. They became the instruments of power. They forced, of course, they didn't use violence here in this country, but when Buddhism spread to but when Buddhism spread to Japan particularly, the monasteries maintained armies, trained armies and supplied them to the rival kings. This is water. Thank you. Thank you. That's a trait of holiness. Avec plaisir. Oui, madame. Asseyez-vous tranquillement. You see. There means what French I'm forgetting.
Ici.
Ici.
Là.
Huh?
Ici ou là?
Ici. Tranquillement. Good. Bob, you recorded that? Good. Sannyas never existed in India.
Yes, this point I understood.
Difficult to understand because you are all sannyasis. Because we had a business out of that.
Sir, do you say that Buddha was not at all original?
Not at all. He pretended like J. Krishnamurti, original, by not using any authority that existed before. Because that's what the Upanishads say. Swayam Pramanya. It has an authority of its own. Swayam Pramanya, I think. Why should I quote that nonsense? I must wash my mouth.
I thought Buddha was very original, rejecting
Nothing
God
original.
and all the
He never rejected
all
it.
the Upanishadic teachings he told to reject it.
Because it was all intellectual nonsense.
So he was original then.
Not
definitely.
original, all saints do that. What did they do? No, sir. They did more harm. And the monastery supplied armies to the rival kings. That's why one of the Chinese saints called the founder of, what is that? Zen.
Taoism?
Zen.
Chan.
No. The first fellow who went there, your Andhra, you're so proud of.
Bodhidharma, sir.
Bodhidharma, they called him a barbarian. And Buddhist teachings, nothing but toilet paper, he said. He had the guts to say that in the 7th century. It is quoted there in, they put that quotation in French.
The emperor asked him, what is the holy teaching of the Buddha? And he said, no holiness, just emptiness.
Kill him, he said. If you meet Buddha, kill him. Well, anyway, what do you need a Buddha for? Same Christianity, also conversion. With violence, sir.
No. I sit there.
You may say that Buddhism was not violent and Indians are cowards. Useless fellows. You swallow anything. Hinduism is not a religion at all, like Judaism. It's a socio-political, economic strange. A lot of
Culture.
things put together. It's just a way of life and way of thinking, nothing else. That is culture. It's not art, beauty, poetry, music. That's not culture. So that is part of your thinking. And think that you are superior to me because you are a Swami. What have you renounced? You have not renounced anything. And the second thing is they pick up new jargon, new language, use them and feel great. Like that's all. Remember those jokers that came, use those words, Krishnamurti and lingo. Huh? Not the Sanskrit phrases, but what's the difference? A truly religious man does not want anything for himself. But it is the responsibility of you all to see that my teaching, he didn't say the teaching, should be preserved for posterity in its pristine purity. So give liberally to my cause.
I see. He added that.
Sure, he sent cards, sir. You see, he was brought up in not wealthy conditions, you see. He didn't have anything, you see, in his life in the early years. Here it's the other way around, you see. Buddha was born, you see,
He's a king.
as a king. So they didn't, anything I
Whatever
wanted,
he wanted, he had.
anything I wanted, I could have had. Anything in the world. I had, as a matter of fact, everything that one could reasonably ask for. If I wanted to buy a Rolls-Royce car, just in a jiffy, by writing a check on Imperial Bank of India, I could buy, you see. So they never interested. Money was not, in that sense, a
Never felt the lack of that.
primary, what is that word, sir, Bob? My language is very
Concern.
demand. Huh? No, I don't get the right word. Don't bother. We mystify by not using the right. That was not my interest. Money, you see, I knew how you could make money. If I had dedicated myself to money, I would have been the world's richest man. World's richest. All the billionaires in the United States, nowhere, pale and insignificant. That was not my interest. My only interest was to be certain that Buddha was a con man. You see, when people around you, claimants, are not really the genuine people, you see. There is a dichotomy in their lives. What they said and what they were in actual life, in reality, intrigued me. I didn't call them dishonest people or any such thing. So if the teaching produced me, it doesn't help me in any way, the teacher must be wrong. You see, you don't blame usually the teachers, you exonerate them. The teacher is not responsible for that. You have not done it enough, you have not done the things in a right way, so you exonerate the teacher. No, I was not interested. If that teaching runs counter to the way I am functioning, something wrong. If I am not jealous, something wrong with me, you see. I am full of jealousy, I am full of greed, and you are talking of a state that doesn't exist at all. You claim that you are in that state. I don't see that you are operating that way. I'm very close to them. As I say that I was always surrounded by such people. I lived in the company of, sages, saints, saviors of mankind who claim to be murderers, rapists, conmen, thieves, everybody, any day. I opt for their company and not the spiritual people. There is some sort of integrity in them. They know exactly what they want and they don't mince matters. And so you see the teachers, no degree, I never accepted one of degree.
Because normally...
No, if you say one of degree, you have destroyed the possibility of going to the end, Degree never interested.
Fellow fails in this examination, you study hard.
That's a different matter.
And
You see, you don't know how to operate that through repetitive process.
Yes.
You learn how to operate, you improve it, you modify it. That is how the whole technology came into existence.
One cannot
through a repetitive
change
process.
himself like that.
No. Not at all. This I discovered when I was very young. So thought is the instrument to put me in a thoughtless state. So not interested in that at all. This cannot be the instrument, you know. How can this be the instrument? Tomorrow, the day after. So the teachers are false. And then go to the source. These are all the claimants.
Everybody was caught up in that game, that in the process of evolution, thinking that we are
evolution
slowly...
doesn't exist. There may not be any such thing as evolution. You can throw out all evolutionists, and much less in the field of spirituality. There you see it creates a hierarchical structure.
Yes.
I am far superior to others.
Yes.
You become a rightful principal master, this, that in the second degree, third degree, you become a arhat. What nonsense is this arhats? You know, they fight amongst themselves.
Now, how you freed yourself from that kind of a conditioning?
What can? Don't use that word conditioning. What do you mean conditioning?
It is not conditioning.
What exactly do you mean by conditioning?
Because everybody, everywhere we see this continuous process of learning is there.
But you don't understand one basic thing, that this is also conditioning you in a different way.
Which one?
Whatever you are doing to uncondition yourself is conditioning you in a different way.
Yes.
So that is important for me. Whether you are conditioned the ancient way or modern way or Krishnamurtian way, see, you may talk of unconditioned mind, but he doesn't operate like a man living in a state of unconditioned mind. So if you talk of the experience of a silent mind, what is he talking about? How can you experience a silent mind and then describe that as love, bliss, beatitude, immensity? Not at all interested in that. What is, you say? And then why do you describe that as love, bliss, beatitude and immensity? That's the sales speech. That's what you are interested in. So he is selling you that. So he has created just a structure of thought. Nothing else is there. So you reject. You know. So you go to the source. They themselves were con men, you see, conned themselves and conned the whole of mankind. So then the next question is, why do I con myself? All of them are con men, not one single exception. Those who were there before me, those who are there with me today, around me, and the teachers yet to be born, you see, yet to be born, they will be con men.
That means they con themselves. They fool themselves.
Yes.
That they are going somewhere and reaching somewhere.
That they have come
somewhere.
into a state like whatever it is, unconditioned mind, transformed individual. So there is nothing here to be transformed. Why the hell you are talking about radical transformation, radical mutation? Why the hell you are talking about? No? Why? I asked him these questions. He didn't have any answers. He was giving the answers of a politician, neither confirmed nor denied. I'm not interested in that. So, if you are, I would have asked Ramana Maharshi also, did you, by posing this question to yourself, who am I, got into that enlightened state? I asked Krishnamurti, you are taking all these people on bogus chartered flights. They call them bogus chartered flights. Journeys. You got into that state of a transformed individual through this step by step, logically? No, he said. Then why the hell you are talking about it? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, he told me, the joker. You don't find all that in his teachings. Whatever was convenient, he put it in that book. That's all. Anything that anybody said against him or attacked him.
Because he believed that is the only way.
He believed that I tell you, he never freed himself from the world teacher business. Never. And why he dissolved that was because of the family quarrel amongst themselves. That is one thing, you see. The money remained with him. I asked him also why the money is sitting there in the Dutch bank. Then he said, what do you want me to do? How do I invite all those people who contributed this money, and there is no way I can return it. He returned only that castle. I didn't see that castle. First time this year when I was there, we were passing through that place. And so I asked them, take me to that castle. Now it is not in the family. They sold it and sold to some school. Bob, don't record. Anyway, I have said this before, you can record, I don't care. And what was I saying?
Yes, you told him that this is not the...
No, he says,
has not
if
freed
it
himself.
works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. What the hell you are doing? What for? Huh? What for? The world teacher business, it was... and then he wanted to be on his own and build himself up into a spiritual teacher on his own, which he succeeded. And there was a time when he was using only a mystical language until he was stuck in California during the war. He was not allowed to talk, and he was in the company of Aldous Huxley, Harold Gerd, and the joker, Sri Ram Krishna mission fellow. I forget his name. His disciple Isherwood, Christopher Isherwood. And they were meeting every day, and he had nothing else to do. He was growing potatoes or tomatoes, roses. So he had a chance to discuss with all those people. Then he created a lingo, which I call Krishnamurtian lingo. And 1942, I think, he met a few people in one of the farms there in Midwest. I don't remember that. First time he came out with this lingo. Before that he was using all I and my beloved and then all that nonsense, immortal friend. Even in 1932, because my English was not, what is that word, good enough to understand, but even now my English is not good. So, that was it. I heard him first time in 1928 in that national school, boy. That was it. He irritated me most. Even in 1928, I was only 10 years old. A student in the national college there, started by Annie Besant. They wanted to show that Theosophical Society is not any way involved with J. Krishnamurti. That was a show. That's it. So that's it. See, the certainty that, then the question arises, why are you conning yourself? Why are you fooling yourself? Why you can't reject the totality of human thought? Not one. They are all the variations of the same. So there was no answer to that question, and even as a little boy, and everything I want, everything, my taste, my appreciation of beauty, everything is what they wanted me, whether my grandparents or my grandmother or my servants. What I learned about sex was from my servants, not from these saints. It started in me some strange things, you see, not that I wanted to this servant made. No, not in that sense. That was the beginning of my questioning. And then why this celibacy, why this nonsense? Like that, you see, I learned a lot, and I learned everything, not from spiritual teachers, not from secular teachers, in my own way. Of course, if I want to learn how to operate that, I have to learn from him, and he learned from somebody else. So through repetitive process, you learn. That's the only instrument we have. It cannot conceive of the possibility except in time. It has taken so many years for you to become an engineer. It has taken so many years for me to be somebody in this world. There is no other way. So everything I want, all my tastes, all my likes, all my dislikes, all my belief, what they wanted me to want. So something else I want, different from that, even as a little boy. I don't want that. Why they are forcing me to want this and not that want? But it never occurred to me that this is also a want.
To want something which
other than what others
nobody
wanted.
else wanted.
Nobody else wanted. Also a want. Like this thought. Why the hell do you want to be in a thoughtless state? What am I using? I am using my thoughts, and these are not my thoughts. Those jokers are putting these thoughts in me. Where are my thoughts?
You were feeling that way?
Yes, from the very beginning.
You are seeing your thoughts, or
No, I didn't see any thoughts. I didn't see any thinker. I didn't see any thinking there.
how could you say that these are not my thoughts and these are my thoughts?
What I see is only about thought, but not thought. Even today, what do you see? Come on, how do you find out? Why are you asking this idiotic question about thought? What is thought? How do you go about? What do you see there? How do you separate yourself from what you call thought and look at it? Actually, you don't look at thought. There is no thought about thought. What they said about thought. Thought is matter, thought is this, thought is that, thought is that. That's all you see there, but not thought. After all, you see what is thought? Noise, sound. Thought is sound.